All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're getting into a classical commentary that really wrestles with some of the biggest questions out there. Why isn't faith just easy? What counts as actual proof? And, how do you find any kind of certainty in a world that's filled with doubt? This is going to be good.
So this is really the big one, isn't it? It's the question that sits at the very heart of this whole discussion. It's a challenge that people have been throwing out there for centuries, and the source material we're looking at today meets it head on. But it doesn't just give a simple answer, it kind of reframes the entire question itself.
So here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to start with a fundamental contradiction that the text points out. Then we'll look at those classic demands for a flashy miracle. After that, we'll dive into a totally different way of seeing proof, what the text calls signs. We'll walk through a powerful case study with the story of Abraham, and finally, we'll look at the ultimate consequences of the choices we make.
Okay, so first up, our journey begins with a paradox. The commentary argues that the real issue with disbelief isn't a lack of evidence. No, it's a huge logical contradiction that's happening right at the start, acknowledging the creator of everything, while at the same time worshiping the things he created.
This opening verse really sets the entire stage. It makes a clear, simple claim: there is a single creator responsible for everything, the heavens, the earth, all of it. But right away, it points to this bizarre contradiction. Even knowing this, people still turn around and assign that same status to other things.
Now, this is where the commentary gives us a really crucial piece of insight. It points out that the polytheists at the time never argued that their idols or statues created the universe. They already agreed that God was the supreme creator. And that just makes their actions even more baffling, right? It leads to the text's first major argument. If you already know who the creator is, why on earth would you worship the creation? And that contradiction brings us right to the next part of the argument. Because when they were confronted with this logical problem, their response wasn't to reflect on it. Instead, it was to demand some kind of overwhelming supernatural proof, a big show.
This was one of their main arguments. Basically, if this message is for real, why send a regular human being? Why not send an angel down to deliver it? Someone whose very presence would be an undeniable miracle that would force everyone to listen. But the commentary's response completely flips this idea on its head. It explains that the whole point of this life is for it to be a test of our ability to recognize truth using our reason and reflection, especially while things are unseen. If an angel just showed up in its true form, well, that's not a test anymore. That's the end of the exam. The time for choosing, for thinking, would be totally over.
And this example really hits the nail on the head. The text argues that the rejection isn't actually about a lack of evidence. Think about it. Even if a physical book came down from the sky, something they could literally hold and touch, a mind that's already made up would just find another excuse. They'd just call it magic. So the problem isn't the proof. It's the person's willingness to accept it.
And this ties into another one of their demands. They wanted a messenger who was basically superhuman, someone who didn't need to eat or sleep, who didn't have a family, but the reality of the prophet was a human being, living a real human life. And the reason for that is profound. It was to show that this path, this guidance, is actually accessible and livable for everyone, not just for some kind of supernatural being. It's the difference between a guide who actually walks the path with you versus some untouchable spectacle.
So, if these big, spectacular, test-ending miracles are off the table, then where's the proof? This is where the source material does something brilliant. It completely shifts the definition of proof away from some supernatural event and points us toward the world we can actually observe.
The invitation here is amazing. It's not sit around and wait for a sign to drop from the sky. It's get up, go out, and look for the signs that are already here on Earth. It's a call to use your own eyes and your own mind to become an investigator of history, of nature, of the human condition itself.
And the commentary makes it super clear that these signs aren't some kind of rare, hidden treasure. They are literally everywhere. You can see them in the mind-boggling design of animals, in the ruins of ancient civilizations that rose and fell, in that deep-down intuitive cry for help to a higher power when you're in real trouble, and even in the incredible consistency of revealed texts over thousands of years.
And the commentary here points out this beautifully subtle, almost sarcastic argument in the text. The true God is defined by complete self-sufficiency, the one who provides for everyone but needs nothing from anyone. Now compare that to every other thing people worship. Whether it's an idol or a powerful ruler, they are all fundamentally dependent. They need their followers to build their temples, to bring them offerings, to maintain their power. So it all boils down to a simple question: who is serving whom?
Okay, so to make this whole idea of finding truth through observation really concrete, the text gives us this perfect case study, the story of Abraham. He's not just given a miracle and told to believe. No, we get to see him use his own intellect, step by step, to reason his way to the ultimate truth.
So his journey begins in the dark. He sees a star, a powerful object that people in his culture worshipped, and he actually considers it. He says, maybe this is my Lord. But then, it sets. It disappears. And right there, he makes his first critical deduction. A true Lord can't be temporary. He can't be something that just fades away.
Next up, he sees the moon. It's brighter, it's more magnificent, and again he considers it. Okay, maybe this is my Lord. But of course, the exact same thing happens. It sets. And at this point, his understanding gets deeper. He realizes that without some kind of internal guidance, it would be so easy to make the same mistake his people were making, worshiping something that's so obviously impermanent.
And finally, the sun rises, the most powerful, undeniable thing he can see in the sky. He even says, this is the greatest of all. But when even the sun inevitably sets, his investigation is over. The case is closed. He turns to his people and makes this powerful declaration that he is done with their practice of associating partners with the one true God.
And here's his final conclusion. He didn't need an angel to come down. He didn't need a miracle. Just by using pure observation of the natural world, of things rising and setting, of what lasts versus what fades, he reasoned his way straight to the source. He turned his face not to the things in the heavens and the earth, but to the one who originated them.
So, what's the bottom line? What are the stakes here? Well, this final part of our explainer gets into the consequences of that choice. The choice to see the signs or to ignore them. And it also offers this really unique kind of comfort for people who are trying to speak the truth.
The text gets really human here. It acknowledges the pain of being rejected. It's a direct consolation, saying, look, we know what they're saying hurts you. But you have to understand, their rejection isn't really personal. It's not about you. They are rejecting the message itself. They are denying the very signs of God that you're asking them to look at.
And the commentary adds this fascinating historical note. It points out that even the Prophet Muhammad's worst enemies would privately admit that, as a man, he was honest and had never been known to lie. Their fight wasn't with him as a person. Their fight was with the radical, worldview-shattering truth he was bringing. And ultimately, the text describes this moment of absolute, unavoidable accountability. A day when everyone is gathered together and they're asked a simple question. So, where are those partners you imagined? And when faced with that ultimate reality, their only response is to lie. But by then, it's too late. All the illusions they were leaning on, their idols, their intercessors, they've all just vanished.
And that's where we'll leave it. This ancient text makes a really compelling case that the proof of a higher reality isn't found in some spectacular violation of the natural order, but actually within the natural order itself. And that leaves us with a pretty big question for our own time. In a world that's so saturated with noise and distraction, what are the profound signs that we might be systematically trained to look right past?